I'm here with Heather Cullen. We met through Chef AJ, and she has an incredible weight loss story, and is also kind of in the midst of her journey. And so, Heather, thanks so much for taking the time. Maybe you could just start off, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Thanks, Jason. Well, I am 46 years old and I live in Portland, Oregon. And I have been heavy my whole life. So I went from being, sweet, cute, chubby baby to adorable, chunky toddler to when you get to elementary school, it's no longer cute anymore. And so spent a lot of time getting bullied when I was a kid and just feeling really bad about myself, and being overweight has kind of been the defining thing about my life. And so later on, I think I was a single mom, and then I ended up later taking care of sick parents, and I think I just was taking care of everybody but me. And so that's kind of how I ended up when I was about 2008. I think I was 436 pounds. And I had a lot of health problems that went along with being that heavy because I'm only 5'2". So, I literally just outgrew my skeleton.
Wow, so you've lost a total of 234 pounds total, is that correct?
That's right, as of today.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I still have, close to about 70 to go.
Okay. Well, I have no doubt that you will get there. What was your expectation of food kind of growing up?
Well, my mom and dad were really good cooks, and my mom grew up thinking, like steak and baked potato loaded with everything was kind of the ultimate meal. But they always had a salad and a vegetable, and it was, you have to have the well-rounded meal, but it always had something, some kind of animal food on the plate. And we didn't have a lot of junk food, but I would, as a teenager and stuff, I found it on my own. But just my mom had grown up in the South, so real good Southern cooking, lots of, the fried chicken and the potato salad. Nobody makes potato salad like my mom did. And so, yeah, I always liked food, and I was a hearty eater. I can't remember ever being like full, and sometimes you eat until you realize you're full later, when you're miserable and kind of groaning on the couch. But it was really easy for me to just grab food when I was bored, grab food when I was sad, or grab food. That was kind of my go-to.
And whatever you were growing up, was your family or those around you overweight, or was it kind of were you the only person that weighed a bit more?
My sister struggles with her weight too to this day, and just me and my sister. My biological father had a weight problem, and so probably there was some inherited tendency toward that, and a lot of people on both sides of my family had weight problems, but not my mom or my dad. My dad that I grew up with was my stepdad, and he was 6'2", a jogger, a runner, had gone to the Olympic trials in a couple of different sports, and just a really athletic person, was the physical director of the YMCA. So a really active person, but that also meant that he could eat cookies and ice cream and brownies, and it never caught up to him. And so, he had a real sweet tooth, and we had that stuff in the house. And then on the other side, my mom, grew up bologna and cheese sandwiches and that kind of stuff. So I kind of, it took me to being an adult and having a weight problem to really learn about nutrition and what I should be eating. But yeah, it was pretty lonely. I think my parents were a little befuddled of how their daughters both ended up with weight problems. And so that felt kind of lonely and isolating. When I look back at my high school pictures, it's kind of funny because I don't feel like I was that heavy, but I was definitely, the fattest girl in the class was like, my identity all through um, junior high and high school. But I think just people are heavier now in general, and I don't know if I even would have stood out as much nowadays.
And looking back, I know you kind of mentioned a couple things, but on the path to where you were when you were your biggest, were there any contributing factors or any things that kind of stick out to you that you say, those were definitely big contributors to me getting this big, or was it just a bunch of small things that all were kind of happening simultaneously for a long time?
That's a really good question. I've struggled with my weight my whole life, and I went on my first diet when I was 11 years old. And I've taken off, significant amounts of weight over and over, in the 46 years that I've been working at this. Well, I guess, so I started when I was 11 and I'm 46 now. So, if you could name a diet, I have tried it. I had a lot of success with, um, Tops, which is like a weight loss club. I had taken off over 100 pounds with that. I did a raw food diet, tried being raw vegan for a while, took off 100 pounds with that. So it's just been my whole life, and I think I would just sum it up as I am definitely a food addict. Um, there are certain kinds of foods that I crave a lot more maybe than average, or especially sugar and animal products and things like that. And I just found it really hard to stay away from them. Um, and then, yeah, I do feel like I was taking care of everybody else, taking care of my kids, which was a joy and the best thing in my life I've ever done. But it's lonely. I was a single mom. And I think when I wanted, not a lot of money and not a lot of free time. And so food was just a way to make myself feel good, quick and easy. And it was just always there. And you can get junk food pretty cheap. And so, yeah, I just think I got addicted to those kinds of foods. And it was kind of a relief to realize that it was an addiction, that my brain just responds to sugar the way some people's brains respond to alcohol or heroin, or where it wants more and more and more to get the same kind of response. And it's why I think I feel so relieved by that, is I know if I can just abstain from certain things that give me problems, I do great. I don't have as much of a problem, and I feel like that was the key that finally turned, the key in the lock for me, was figuring out, yes, I am a food addict, but as long as I abstain from certain things, I'll be okay.
I think in an email you said something to the extent of, there are so many people like me who have tried and failed over and over and who are just scared they're going to die. Those are pretty strong words. Were you afraid at times that you were going to die?
So when I was 436 pounds, I remember being in a doctor's waiting room, and there was an article, and I don't even remember what magazine it was or anything, but it was talking about life expectancies of people at different weights. And so I was reading that over, and especially I think it listed it by BMI. And so I'm looking at my paper that I just got from the doctor about that had my BMI on it, and it said average life expectancy was like 45 years for, and the stuff I had going on at such, and so let's say I was about maybe 40 when this happened. And so I already had a high blood pressure. I was on 3 different medicines to bring that down. I had migraines. I had a cholesterol that was over 400. And I was just in constant pain. When you're that heavy, your knees and your back and your feet are just, in horrible pain. And so I'd have a smile on the outside, but I was just a mess, and I would just live on ibuprofen to get through the day. Walking from my desk at work to the bathroom, which was maybe like 50 yards away, I'd be huffing, puffing, scary, red-faced squirrel, and I was just like, I can't do this. That statistic went through my head of, I'm not going to be around much longer if I do this, and I had a lot of guilt because I was a single mom, and it was like, how are my kids going to feel if I die because I'm so overweight, and I could have done something about it. I felt like I didn't have the right to not keep trying. There were many times when I wanted to give up, especially when I'd regained the weight, but I just felt like I don't have that choice. Our lives aren't only our own. We also belong to the people we love and the people who count on us.
So for you, I know you kind of almost speak of these times that, or rather past times that you've lost the weight almost in a different way rather than this time. It seems like this time you're pretty well determined, on track. Obviously, you've come extremely far. At the beginning of this time, was there a rock bottom moment where you decided to make a 180-degree change, or was it more of a progression?
Yeah, there was. So, Christmas 2014, I woke up in the middle of the night and I felt like I was having a heart attack. And I waited. I did the stupidest thing you can do, which is wait a little while to see if it would go away. And that was about midnight. About 5 in the morning, I went and woke my sister up. We were housemates at the time. And I'm like, I think you need to drive me to the hospital. Something's going on. And she was freaked out. And of course, if you feel like you're having a heart attack, you should really just call an ambulance, right? I really want to put a PSA in there for anybody that thinks they're having a heart attack, and especially if you're very heavy. I think I was about 360 pounds at that time. So I had taken off some weight, but I still had a long way to go. And so she took me to the hospital and they tested me, and I wasn't having a heart attack, but they gave me nitroglycerin in case I ever did have chest pain because they could see what was going on. But what had happened was I had taken so much ibuprofen and for so long because of the pain that I made a hole in my stomach and in my esophagus. And that was a big wake-up call. Well, also they said, you have to stop taking this. You can't take it anymore. And that, I felt like the wind got knocked out of me because that was how I was functioning, Without it, I almost couldn't walk. I just had a lot of mobility problems if I didn't take that. And even taking it, I was in a lot of pain. So that just made a huge impression on me. And I was like, this is it. Something has to change. I can't live like this. And whatever I can do to make it better, I've got to do it, And so that got me started again. And I knew, the thing that I had felt worked the best for me and the one I could stick with was being vegan. So just giving up all animal products, no meat, no dairy, no eggs, no honey, none of that stuff. And also going to more of an unprocessed diet. So no bread and things like that, but yes, on brown, not low carb. I want to emphasize it's not low carb, but cutting out bread and cutting out white rice, having brown rice, things like that. And so that's what I went back to, because when you've been fat your whole life, you become kind of an expert in nutrition. At least I did. And so I really felt like that's the optimal human diet. I knew the statistics that vegans live about 8 years longer and are more likely to be at their goal weight. And so I thought, this has got to be something that would work for me. And then I had a friend who told me about Chef AJ's program. I started listening to all her podcasts where she talked to a lot of experts about food addiction and about being addicted, especially to flour and to processed food and sugar, and just made a huge amount of sense to me. And I realized that it's not an accident that people like me are addicted to these kinds of foods. The food manufacturers make these foods with lots of sugar, salt, and oil to make them be more addictive, and it certainly worked on me. So I felt like, someone showed me where the door was. Like I didn't just have to be in pain and then die. So I just determined that this is going to be the time. And a little while before that, my mom passed away. My mom had kidney disease and she passed away. And right before she passed away, I was really doing well again. I think I was on the raw food diet again. I kept going back to that. And she just told me, when I pass away, I don't want you to fall apart. I want you to take care of this. So sorry, you guys. But I made that promise to my mom, and I made that promise to myself. And so I feel like that's why this time is different, because I finally feel like I have something that I can stick with, and something that really works for me. This is the furthest I've come. Like I said, I've taken off, more than 100 pounds before, but this is the first time. I think when I got past the 200-pound mark, I'm like, okay, maybe this is going to stick. And I think a big part of that is staying accountable. So, I am really upfront with how much I weigh, where I am, how much I walk. I post it on Facebook. I have, friends on there. I have a YouTube channel. And that's accountability. That's to keep me on the path, because I feel like if everybody knows what's going on, I'm going to be a lot less likely to throw it all in,
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. So I think you said that now you have a furry personal trainer,
Yes.
your dog named Hope. As far as, once you started kind of on the path this time, or maybe now, what do you do? What do you enjoy physically now and maybe how does that differ from, I know you said, it sounds like you walk 3 to 4 miles a day now. You
Yeah.
struggled to walk to the restroom before.
Right.
So it sounds like there's been a big change in the physical activity realm as well.
Oh, absolutely. So I go to the gym 4 days a week with my daughter. This is in addition to the walking. And I do Zumba now. I'm really terrible. Like, I am abjectly awful at it, but I just have fun. I have a lot of knee damage from being so heavy, and so there's just some things I can't do. But man, nothing makes the time go by like a good Zumba class. I really like it. I even tried yoga. I'm just really excited to try stuff again. When you're that heavy, I felt like kind of a prisoner in my own body, and there was so many things I couldn't do. Got to a point where I couldn't really fit that easily in a movie theater, flying on a plane. You're always scared the seatbelt isn't going to fit. Am I going to fit in the seat? It was, you feel really trapped. And so now that my body can do more things, I'm like, hey, body, what can you do? I'm excited to try stuff. And I really found that I like hiking. I never, I hated walking and I avoided it. But now I voluntarily hike up Powell Butte, which is just a butte over close to my house. And I really liked hiking the waterfalls. I live close to the Columbia Gorge with literally gorgeous waterfalls. And so, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun just trying out new things. And so many things have gotten better. I had horrible acne. I had horrible eczema. My skin was a mess. My cholesterol's normal now, even though I have more weight to go. And I have genetically high cholesterol, so I was told it's never going to go down, unless you take a statin. But it did. It's below 200. It's not where I want it to be yet, but it will be. I don't take any medications for my blood pressure anymore. It's just night and day. I don't have sleep apnea. I got rid of that sleep apnea machine. And I'm just excited for the future to see what I can do. I just did a 5K not that long ago with the American Heart Association Heart and Stroke Walk, and I got an award for being the lifestyle change winner. And it's really exciting. I would like to learn how to ride a bike again, because it's been so long I haven't ridden a bike, and I'd like to add more distance onto my walking and a little bit faster. And things like that. So I'm just excited that I have a body that's not broken, that doesn't hurt all the time, and I can think it's only going to get better from here.
That's all awesome. Well, you live in the perfect city to bike around.
Yes.
So any life or physical goals that you're currently working towards, or maybe where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, I would like to get to my goal weight, which is 136 pounds, by my goal is by the end of the year, by my birthday, which is December 29th at the end of the year. Um, the reason I chose 136 is that's the highest you can weigh at my height to be at a BMI that's not overweight. So it's the highest normal weight. And then I figure, I've got some loose skin and stuff, so it probably puts me in a pretty good range as far as that goes, because that's going to stick around and weigh some itself. Um, so I'd like to get to my goal weight by my birthday. That's going to be my birthday present to myself, I've decided. And then 5 years, I hope I'll just be maintaining it. I feel like half of the job is getting the weight off, and then the other half is going to be keeping it off. And I want to be like some of your other, big winners that have managed to keep it off for a long time.
Awesome. Well, if there's anything I've learned, it's that we're all still in process,
Yes.
and every one day at a time. Is there anything that you would say to someone who's at the beginning part of the this journey and is looking for some inspiration or some hope, or something that you think might resonate with them in that place of, like you said, being felt like you're trapped in the prison of your own body, and dealing with some of those issues that you dealt with before?
I have I have a few things that I'd like to say. Well, first of all, I would just want to say that I thank the me that was 436 pounds that tried again. It takes a lot to try again after you feel like you've tried and failed and tried and failed. You know, I can't even, I probably have been on started a diet like 200 times in my life, and that's not an exaggeration. That's really how long it was. And so I just I want to ask people, what will you do today that you will thank yourself for doing tomorrow? Because it hurt a lot to even walk around the block. When I think about what was a Herculean task for me at the time, I am so happy that I walked around that block. And it was hard to not eat chocolate at Christmas when everybody was eating chocolate. And I thank myself now that I didn't eat that chocolate at Christmas. And so I want people to kind of take the long view of what will you do today that you're going to be so grateful that you did tomorrow, because this is really a gift you can only give yourself. Nobody else can do this for you. So that's one thing. And then I would say, educate yourself, find out about nutrition, find out about what is an optimal human diet, and just if there's certain, know yourself, know what triggers you have, and be willing to make whatever you have to do. You have to put this first, do whatever you have to do to make sure that this happens. And so that can mean I hear a lot of moms saying things like, I don't want to have that stuff in my house, but I have to have it there for the kids or for my husband or something like that. But I want to say to them, if you were an alcoholic, and someone said, no, I have to have this fifth of vodka in the house, wouldn't you feel like you could say, hey, that gives me a problem. I can't be around that. That wouldn't be safe for me. And so I feel like it's disrespectful if people want to keep your exact trigger food in the house. And as far as the kids, that junk food isn't good for them either. And do you really want to hook them and have them struggle the way you've struggled? Most of us would not wish that on our kids. I certainly would not wish it on my kids. If you are worried that they're going to feel deprived or are going to miss their treats or whatever, I can tell you they can get junk food all over the place out in the world. They get it at school, they get it at their friend's house, they get it on field trips, they get it at the movies. You don't need to keep that stuff in your house. And I think it's really important to make sure our houses are a safe environment. You shouldn't have anything in your house that you can't eat. And I just feel really strongly about that. I always say, if it's in my place, it's in my face, you know? So make your house a safe zone. A lot of studies have shown that your environment is a huge factor in whether you are successful in the long run. Because even if I had a weak moment and I wanted to binge right now, I really hope I like to binge on carrots, because I'm just not going to find very much that would be very exciting for me. You know, at least if I wanted something off my plan, I would have to go out and get it, and maybe that would give me the time to drive to the place to rethink it over. So it buys, because a lot of cravings only last, 5 to 20 minutes. And if you can just distract yourself, and one trick I used to do is I would say, I'm going to eat this apple, and if I still want XYZ after I eat this apple, half an hour after I eat the apple, then I can have it. And what I found a lot of times is, by the time you eat the apple, but honestly, you let the half an hour go by, I didn't even want it anymore. I felt a lot stronger. So just knowing that cravings are just a feeling and it's just temporary, and there's a lot of things that you can do rather than giving in to those.
That's all really great advice. And I don't know if it would be any different, but if you could go back and give yourself some advice at the beginning of this journey, something that you thought maybe would resonate, or you would have maybe listened to, what would that be?
That is a great. I would have told myself to put myself first, because I would. My kids didn't ask me to make them fancy food or whatever, but I would make that kind of food, and then I would crave it, myself. And just preparing other people food can be a trigger. I wouldn't have been so worried about offending people at holidays or at their houses or things like that. I think a lot of times as moms, we want to put everybody else first. And the problem with that is, by the time, if you put yourself at the end of the list, sometimes you just get left off, and I kept putting myself in situations, so I'm taking complete responsibility, but I put myself in situations where my willpower just wasn't enough. So things like buffets and parties and holidays, I think it's okay to say no to things that are hard on me. Now if someone wants to meet at a restaurant or something, I say, how about if we go for a walk? Because I can't, there, unless it's a salad bar, there's not a whole lot I'm going to want to eat there, because I don't do animal products, and now I'm off of sugar, salt, and oil. Well, even vegan restaurants put a lot of sugar, salt, and oil in things, and so, and restaurants are a trigger for me from the past, and so I would just rather do something else. And you know what? My friends are totally fine with that. Oh yeah, sure, okay. Let's get an iced tea and take a walk instead. And they're just as happy with that. I think we feel like the world will come crashing in if we say no, or if we take a little bit of time for ourselves, take a little time to go to the gym or go on a walk, or there's always 1,000 other things that you should be doing, but you have to make time for yourself. You have to be your own hero. Nobody's coming to save you. I get a lot of people saying, "Tell me exactly what you eat. I want to know what you eat in a day, and how did you do it? And I'm just going to follow your path exactly." And the problem is, my path is not your path, and what works for me might not be what works for you, and my triggers might be different than your triggers. And yes, I can tell you about a vegan diet. I can tell you about eating unprocessed. I can give you some awesome recipes and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, you have to find out why you're doing this. You have to have a really strong why, and it has to be stronger than, I want to be a size 5 again, or I want to fit in those jeans, or for me it was, I want to live. I want to conquer this thing that has been the defining factor that has limited me in my life. When I think about guys I didn't try to date, or jobs I didn't try to get, or, the trips I didn't go on, experiences I didn't have. I missed out on a lot. And um, by focusing and being just a little bit selfish and in self-preservation, by focusing on myself, I'm giving myself a chance to have some of that life. Um, so I would say to moms, put yourself on the list. Take the time, do it. And it's okay to say, I can't have you have Snicker bars in the house because I cannot keep Snicker bars out of my face. I think that that's an okay thing to say. And I think it's okay to say, thank you so much for the holiday invitation, Aunt Helga, but I'm not going to be able to come this time, and that doesn't mean you can't ever have fun again, but I feel like you have to know your limits and be on really steady ground. And me, I'm still baby stepping this. I'm not where I want to be yet, and I still have a ways to go. And so, yeah, I'm going to take this time and do whatever I'm 100% determined. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get there. This time is the time. Today's the day.
Outstanding. Well, if people, if what you're saying is resonating with people, they want to maybe try and keep up with you as you are going towards your birthday, and want to try and connect and find out more about you, where can they do that?
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. It's the Butterfly Effect Plant-Based Extreme Weight Loss. Way too long of a name. Didn't know what I was doing when I made the thing, but you can find me on there and follow my progress. I at least do one post a week. I always do weigh-in Wednesday, so you can see how I'm doing there. And I post, recipes and just vlogs and things like that. And they can find me on Facebook, too. I'm Heather Goodwin on Facebook. And I love to connect with other people that are on the same journey, especially people who are doing this with a plant-based diet. I really resonate with that. I feel really strongly about the plant-based diet, not only for weight loss, but also, animal-based agriculture is really terrible for the environment, and I'm really an animal lover. I've got lots of rescue animals, and I really have a heart for animals. And, and it turns out that the plant-based diet is also the most healthy diet. At least all the research that I've read indicates that. I'm not a doctor, but sure has changed my life. I've had a huge change in my health and change in my life, and I feel like I'm living in integrity with what I believe as an environmentalist and as an animal lover. So I would really encourage people to check that out. Maybe watch Forks Over Knives, or I know that has influenced a lot of people. And I read a book way back when I was starting to flirt with veganism, which is Diet for a New America by John Robbins. And that can give you lots of reasons why you might want to choose plant-based diet as how you take it off. And I really, especially people like me, I really recommend Chef AJ's Ultimate Weight Loss Program, because that's the one that worked. I had the vegan thing down, but until I realized that I really need to abstain from flour and sugar and alcohol. I never had a problem with alcohol, but the other two, big time, and animal products. Once I got that out of my life, is the change that I was able to stick to.
Awesome. Well, Heather, I'll say early happy birthday, and we'll
Thank you.
look forward to hearing about everything that's to come. Thanks for your honesty, for sharing, for the inspiration. Congratulations on the unbelievable change that you've made already, and I'll look forward to keeping up with you and talking to you soon.
Okay, I hope you see less of me, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, have a great day.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.